Welcome to Series 3, Session 1 of Black Tower Tales. This is my first foray into doing Shadowdark as a solo game, and in sort of the theme that I've heard the old school sort of games do, where they run a meat grinder where they filter through a bunch of characters in order to figure out who the actual main characters are. I rolled up at Series 0 or Session 0, 8 characters that have various stats and different personality types and goals, and I was just gonna run through those really quickly. So we have number 1. I don't have their. I just decided to use symbols for their to keep them separate as far as using minis or whatever. Is Drago, a male half orc, who is a lord of the mine in the area that they are beneath the earth. The entire area is being attacked by places from the Underdark, and he's sort of the lord of. He's basically the mayor, I guess. He's the guy who's responsible for all the mining in the city in particular. We have Torben, a dwarf male, who is a meek crone, which led me to think that he's like Drago's scribe. He follows around Drago and does all the paperwork and writes down all the notes and things that Drago commands him to do. His sort of personality and what he's going for was chronicle hate, and so he secretly hates Drago and writes about it voluminously in his journal. The third person is Serial, a female elf, who is a touchy cleric. So she's like a researcher of stone, even though she's an elf. So she's like a geologist type, working in the mining related to this settlement. Her goal is to acquire progress, and one of the things that she's going to have to deal with is that, and we'll probably learn at some point how that plays into it, is that it's her fault that the colony dug too deep and ultimately drew the ire of the Underdark on them. Number 4 is Yuri, human male. He's an obnoxious courtier, so he's like Serial's apprentice, who's just sort of just annoying and in the way all the time, trying to become a geologist like her. His goal was depressed success, so his part of the reason that he's obnoxious to Serial is that he's actually secretly working for the Underdark side of things. There's Brolga, the female half orc, who's a subtle inquisitor, who's the direct superior of the actual miners in the area. There's Elga, the female dwarf, who's a superfluous adventurer. She's basically like the water boy of the group. All she does is carry stuff around, which and her goal is sort of drive laziness. So one of the things she does is she's actually spiked all of the water with alcohol. There's Riggs, the goblin male, who is a conformist thug. So he's just a miner. His main thing is he runs one of the jackhammer machinery that they have that they're using to dig deeply. And then there's Gendry, the dwarf male, who's an inexperienced merchant, he's also a miner. So we only actually have 2 miners in this group, but they are all trying. He's a miner. He's always trying to bet on stuff. So his personality quirk was blight affluence, and so his thing is he gambles a bit too much. So these are the 8 characters that we're starting with. The thing that I came up with looking at all of their backgrounds and thing is that they're part of a mining group. Drago and his scribe are seeing off a mining group going into the deep dark earth, and that's why they're all they've got their the torches and stuff like you have for Shadowdark. Let me turn this back. And the question we have is, what is like how is this invasion going to be coming upon them? So I've got ideas like maybe the wall around them just collapses and they get ambushed or something, or maybe as they go down there's this they run into a bunch of traps or something like that. So that's what I'm looking to determine now. We've got, just for bookkeeping, we've got Chaos 5. We're starting with that. And I've got my hour timer right here for the torches that they're using. And I'm going to say that Waterboy Lady, I forget her name, Elga is the one carrying the torches at this point. So the question I have is so they're all like walking down the way. Drago, I guess, is doing some sort of audit of the group and their expedition. So the question is, do they get ambushed by some sort of creature from the Underdark side? I think that's 50-50. The other option would be, some sort of traps. And so at a 7, that's a yes, and that's a hell yes. So not only do they get ambushed, they're going down this mine shaft, and in the distance they start to see. They don't. Actually, they have the opportunity to see some stuff in the darkness coming towards them. Of course, the bad guys in Shadowdark don't need torches, so they don't have any of them. But, and I'm gonna say, I think Gendry and Riggs as the minor guys. Actually, who would be? Would Drago be at the front of the group? I think that's likely, because they're sort of the leaders, right? They're gonna be like marching in front. So Drago and Torben are Drago and Torben at the front. I think that's likely. We're Chaos 5, 54, so yes, they are going to be at the front. So we've got Drago, Torben up at the front, along with the geologists who are like sort of looking around. So that's Sariel and Yuri. And then sort of falling behind a little bit, you've got the supervisors and the water boy back here in sort of a separate little group. So Drago actually has an opportunity to see the people sneaking up on him. I think that's going to be probably a difficult task. So that's going to be, target 16. And with his wisdom, but he does have a +3 to wisdom. So, and with a 14, actually, he does not make it. So basically they're walking down this mine shaft, and just at the edge of their torchlight, they all of a sudden come upon something. So I wrote down some of the monsters that are in the Shadowdark book, or as far as it's been released so far, that I think could exist or could be the ones attacking them. So I think my first question is it going to be more than one type of monster? I think that's also likely. I think it's going to be a mixture, but we'll see. It's got a 65. So no, it's only one type of monster, and I've got 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 8 different ones listed here. So we're just going to use that like a table to see what it is. Bandit. So I listed bandit because I feel like that's maybe they're not literal bandits, but they're just sort of the rank and file foot soldier types. So I think with that, I don't know, how many of these should there be? I think it's open war. Like, this is the initial attack of the Underdark on the city, and I think for whatever reason, the scouts maybe that the city has in the traveling around just haven't been coming back, and I think this is going to be a good size group of people attacking. So I think, are there going to be more than 8 attacking right now in this group? I think that's 50-50. So no. So I think that means there are going to be about 7 cultists or 7 bandits. attacking right now. Oh man. So all of a sudden, you've got these 7 bandits just at the edge of the torchlight. So you've got, I think, 3 different areas right here. So the bandits are far. Actually, I'm not sure what the range is on the torches. I'm going to say that they're just at the edge of far. So is when they actually are able to be seen by the group, and they're actually just like slowly advancing. They're not in a huge rush, but they've got their, what is it? Their clubs and their leather shields out. But with going, I think that they basically are able to see this group, so they were able to see them coming. So I think, let's see, how many of them have their bows out? That's going to say, 7 of them. So I think that means you've got one guy in the front who still has his club and shield out, sort of the leader. And then you've got 6 of them out here who have their bows out. And then as soon as they see these people come up, they're just like, they're shooting. They're just going crazy. So they're going to have just a bunch of attacks. Let's say 3 of them. Actually, let's do. How do we determine who's getting shot? I think let's do a D6 and 1, 2, Drago, 3, 4, 5, 6. Drago. Okay, so we've got 3 shots going into Drago. It's a 9. What's his AC gonna be? So I don't think they actually have any art. Does Drago have armor on? I think that's 50-50. I don't know. 46. So yes, Drago has some sort of armor. Let's say his AC is 12. The other ones are just workers, and I don't think it makes sense for them to have armor. So Drago, the first one misses. Second one does hit. Second arrow hits. And then the third arrow hits. So straight away, Drago takes 2 arrows. That's 2d4 damage. 1 and 4. That's 5 hit points. That's 5 damage right there. So Drago right away takes 5 damage and gets dropped down. Then there's 2 arrows on Serial back here. That's going to hit, and that's not going to hit. So there's only a D4 for her. She only has 3 hit points, but she only gets hit for 1. So she's at 2 hit points. And then there's 1 additional arrow that goes for Yuri over here in the corner. So 14, that's going to hit for sure. And it's going to do... He only has 1 hit point, so it's sort of... Ooh, boy. He gets taken out. Knocked down. All right. So, with that, actually... how are Serial and Yuri going to react? I think they're going to be like, oh God, we're being attacked, or something like that. And they're going to sort of maybe back up a little bit, look around at the thing around them, and actually, they're all going to... Actually, Serial is holding the torch, so they're still well lit. I think there's a decent chance that they just run away. Right? Because these are just normal people. Yeah. So they're basically... Serial and Torben, they're just going to run away. They're... Oh shit, what the hell? And the miner crew back here, I think they're going to realize what happened. My question is, are the miners going to sort of go up and attack the bandits? I think that's unlikely, actually. But maybe they realize, oh shit, no, that if we don't leave, we're just gonna they have a chance. Like their chance of them winning in this fight is pretty low. But yeah, they basically also start running away. So in the darkness, I think they're all at least far away from the archers now, but the archers are going to be able to see them, and so I think essentially in the next round they're each going to have a disadvantage attack on each of them. So you got Torben, that's going to miss. Serial, that's also going to miss. And then the 5, 6, 7, 8 on Brolga, that's going to miss. Elga has a chance to hit. That's also going to miss. Riggs, that might hit. Oh, shit. Okay, so Riggs gets crit, takes an arrow in the back as they're all fleeing. And then Gendry, that's going to miss. So they start fleeing back down the hallway, leaving Drago and Yuri behind. Now, Drago and Yuri both have a certain number of rounds. This Drago has 4 rounds to stabilize. And Yuri has 3 rounds. The question I have is, well, they're unconscious. I like the idea. Actually, so what I'm going to say is, we don't know they're dead yet. I'm going to roll their death saves to see if they live just on their own, and we can play it out that way. But Yuri, he's just a sort of normal-looking guy, an assistant. He's probably not going to get any special attention. But let's see. Does Yuri stabilize? He's got 3 rounds to get a roll of 20. I think it's unlikely. Oops. So Yuri does not stabilize on his own, and I think at that Yuri's basically just going to be dead. Drago, though, let's see if he stabilizes on his own. He's got 1 more chance. He does not. So now we have the idea that the chance of, because Yuri's sort of he's the mayor of the town, he sort of is all decked out in armor and gems and stuff. I think there's a chance that these guys take him captive. And to do that, they're going to need to stabilize him. So I think it's actually very likely that they keep him alive, or try to stabilize him at least, right? So that's going to be a 75% chance. Because we're at Chaos 5. Oh, but 87, nope. They're just like too busy. They're like the spearhead of this attack, and they don't spare any time to try to keep them, like to check out this guy that has gems on him. So they just either walk by and additionally skewer him, or they just let him bleed out on his own. So, and with that, the question I have is, are the attackers, are they going to like give chase and actually try to catch up to these people? I think that's 50-50. 44, that's a yes, and also we get a random event. So they see, I think it's more likely the soldiers sort of just let them bleed out. They don't know that they're going to die, but they're passed out with arrows in them. I don't think they're going to pay too much attention. There's probably additional waves of attackers coming. And with that, we get a random event. So what's going to happen is we get a random event focus, which is 84, a PC positive. So at this point, they haven't bled out yet. So if this is something crazy that happens that makes sense to where Yuri might live, I think that would be an interesting way to go about this. But we'll see. PC positive. Let's do action 2, descriptor 2. 68 becomes a piece. Oh, we need to figure out who the PC is. That's a good point. So let's just roll a d8. Because it could be Yuri that stabilizes too. 5. So something positive happens with Brolga, female half-orc. And the second descriptor, 75, is going to be poor. Peace poor. PC positive, peace poor. What could that be? So I think she gains some sort of like inspiration. She does have charisma. So I think what happens is she turns around and like sees the two on the ground, the two people bleeding out on the ground, and sort of just gives a good inspiring speech on not really inspiring speech, but like she like tells the people as they're running to be like, let's go, we gotta go, come on. And I think it's generally PC positive, but it's coming from Brolga, and I think that's going to give them some sort of advantage on their ability to get away here from the attackers. So for them, it's going to be, they know this place. I think with that, they're going to have like an advantage on their ability to run through the area. So that's a 10, okay, a 10 and a 5. So let's say that becomes, what's their normal sort of dexterity? They've got 12, 14. They've got a pretty dexterous group, so let's give them a +2 on that. So they're gonna have like a 10. And then what I'm gonna say is the other guy, their competing rolls for try to catch up to them is they don't know it too well, so they're gonna be at disadvantage. Yeah, so they get a 3. So what happens actually, because they started pretty far away, this group is familiar with these mines and the city around them. They basically are able to turn the corner and just like flat out sprint, and they come up to a T section and go one way, and they don't necessarily know it, but they're able to get away from these attackers, down 2 people obviously. So I think that is actually going to end the scene that we're going for here. We've got 17 minutes, so that next session we're going to have session 2. Chaos. I think chaos is going to go up to 6. And then we're 17 minutes deep through the torch that they have. And then what's going to happen is they came up, went the one way on the T intersection, and I think my next expected scene is going to be something along the lines of an additional, because this is open war was the prompt that I got from the chart, saying that, you know, there's going to be other attacks, there's going to be other things coming at the city, so they're going to have to be dodging left and right to try to get out of here. So there, I think the next expected scene is going to be something down that next hallway, maybe another attack of these sorts of guys. Just all of a sudden, they're everywhere, they're invading, right? So that's going to be session 2. I think that turned out probably the way it was going to, because a lot of these characters that I rolled up are really not great on survivability. Like, none of them have armor. Gendry has 1 hit point. And yeah, we'll see what happens next time. Have a good one.